A recent report has linked the Toronto Raptors to a very surprising target, as apparently the Raptors are currently in talks with the LA Lakers regarding a potential D'Angelo Russell trade. So we'll break down why that could potentially make sense for Toronto and why, on the other hand, it is really sort of a strange report that just dropped. Additionally, we have an update as to the real reason why Chris Boucher, along with Gary Trent Jr., are probably going to get traded ahead of this year's trade deadline, more specifically diving into the Chris Boucher side of things, and a potential suitor that is out there on the market that hasn't really been brought up too much before. So lots of stuff to dive into, but before we dive into that, folks, again, over 56% of our viewers are not subscribed to the channel, so it means the world to me if you guys could hit that subscribe button so we can keep you up to date with all of the madness that is going on regarding this Toronto Raptors team, especially over the next couple days with the trade deadline just around the corner. But let's dive into it. Let's dive into the madness because things are getting pretty wild here. And the first thing we're taking a look at is the D'Angelo Russell sort of trade update. Basically, the Toronto Raptors right now, in a recent report from ESPN, basically Russell's name has been mentioned in trade talks with the Brooklyn Nets, the Toronto Raptors, and the Atlanta Hawks in recent weeks, sources have told ESPN. While the point guard has managed to play some of the best basketball of his career. Over the past 16 games since returning from a bruised tailbone, D'Angelo Russell's averaged 22 points per game on 46% shooting, 45% shooting from behind the three-point line, 2 rebounds, 6 assists, and the LA Lakers went 10-6, playing a tough schedule as well. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. D'Angelo Russell has been a demon. He has been a monster for the LA Lakers in recent weeks, and this season, his entire career has been lots of ups and downs, lots of peaks and valleys, lots of stuff going along those lines, and basically, you can look at it this season in total, averaging 17, 2, and 6, so always able to facilitate, always able to shoot the three. He's only 27 years old, even though it feels like he's played 2 NBA careers now at this point, with the Lakers, with the Nets, bouncing around to the Warriors, different spots, the Timberwolves, if people remember that. D'Lo's been all over the place, but one of his best assets is his ability to shoot the basketball, especially at the point guard sort of position. If I got that sort of stuff pulled up here, these are his per game stats. Have been pretty steady over the course of his career. I don't have images brought up into basically order here now at this point, but basically D'Angelo Russell is a guy, So D'Angelo Russell is a dude that can space the floor. There's times where he's shooting ridiculous percentages from corner threes over the course of his career. That's a graphic I want to bring up. I believe it was close to like the 70% for corner threes. Doesn't take a lot, but can just knock it down from behind the three-point line, no matter how inconsistent he might be. So definitely a guard that is an interesting piece. In my opinion, still a starting point guard in the NBA, no matter, if he gets traded from the LA Lakers or not. But why would the Toronto Raptors go get him? Why would it make sense for this Raptors team to potentially bring him in after just trading for Emmanuel quickly? You have Dennis Schroeder on this Raptors roster here now at this point. It's not like D'Lo is a young and budding prospect that we could develop and will help the tank this season and will grow into this whole new type of player in a couple seasons if we sort of change the vibe, change the perspective on him. Obviously, the Toronto tank to 2024 is in full effect, in full swing here now at this point. So why would the Toronto Raptors do it? Well, one of the big names that Woj has been constantly bringing up in recent weeks is Bruce Brown and other reporters as well, and the LA Lakers are a team that are specifically interested in acquiring Brown. So the contracts kind of match up regarding D'Angelo Russell as the potential piece that can move out. The LA Lakers are a team that actually might be getting Kyle Lowry as well in the buyout market. So there's routes, there's avenues, they're still linked into a bunch of DeJounte Murray trades as well. So maybe you send D'Angelo Russell and a pick to the Toronto Raptors, you bring back Bruce Brown, and then you figure out some sort of way to land DeJounte Murray. I'm not sure about all the things from the Lakers side of things, but it could be an interesting plan. Why would the Toronto Raptors do it? Well, it'd be to acquire draft capital. That would be the sort of incentivization to make a deal happen. The Raptors have been known to ask for, it's been reported by Mark Stein, Shams, Raptors are looking for a first-round pick and a quality player in return for Bruce Brown. That's what they're looking for. That's the asking price. And frankly, with how the trade market has gone, given the fact that the Nets have turned down 2 first-round picks for Dorian Finney-Smith, and staying on the Nets, they turned down 5 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges and attached Jalen Green, like good first-round picks as well. I mean, the market is crazy right now for these wings. The Bulls are asking for an OG Anunoby type of package for Alex Caruso. The whole world is just all over the place now at this point in terms of trades. for the NBA for 3-and-D wing players. So the Raptors should be able to get what they want for Bruce Brown. He's on a reasonable contract. He'd fit a contender very well. So D'Angelo Russell and some draft capital might be interesting. Maybe a flip D'Lo to another team. Again, the Raptors can't add any other assets in a potential Bruce Brown package, given the fact he was just traded. There's limitations on those deals that can go down. So I don't know. I'm not that intrigued, even though he's a good player, but with Emmanuel quickly to bring in D'Angelo Russell onto the squad, especially if Suitor's there now at this point. And then you also have, Lewis, and you have a bunch of guards on this Raptors team. I'm not that intrigued by it, but I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't say it's the end of the world. Masai Ujiri extremely fumbled if we did end up acquiring D'Angelo Russell. But let me know what you guys think about that in the comment section below. His contract is also really solid as well, so not the end of the world if that ends up happening. But the next thing we're taking a look at is the real reason as to why Chris Boucher is probably getting dealt ahead of this year's trade deadline. And Eric Green dove into him, as well as Gary Trent Jr., the star boy on this roster, as to why these guys are potentially falling out of favor in the Raptors front office, and particularly with Boucher out of the Toronto Raptors rotation here now at this point. So what's really going on? Well, basically, Chris Boucher this season averaging 6 points per game, 4 rebounds, 0.4 assists. Has never been a guy that can facilitate, a guy that loves to put up shots in a hurry and these types of things. And, is a dude that, unfortunately, the reality, the Boucher, he doesn't have the passing acumen to fit in with Rajakovic's system, and neither does Gary Trent Jr. Although his shooting is a helpful release valve for the Raptors. Suitor is a very good backup point guard, but that position is more important to a team trying to be good rather than a team that's fine with being bad for the time being. Young and Porter potentially are useful to some teams at the end of a rotation as an insurance against injury, and their contracts expire at the end of the season. Whether it's through cap space exceptions, the Toronto Raptors will have the means to bring in veterans next year to steer the young roster towards respectability and responsible play. But the first sentence of that is something I found very interesting. The reason that they've fallen out of favor in Darko's system, the reason that they're sort of out of the mix in this sort of team is straight up, they can't pass. And it's not news. It's not news to Raptors fans that have been watching this team play. They love to chuck. Gary loves to chuck. Boucher loves to chuck, and all these types of things. Gary, though, is one of the league's most elite three-point shooters here now at this point. He's quietly shooting over 50% from the three-point line since January. He has been a monster firing up that three ball. So a guy that he's playing himself back into the hearts of a lot of Toronto Raptors fans. He's still super young. Again, the Raptors front office doesn't want to pay him a lucrative contract, which I guess makes sense because he doesn't do much else out there on the basketball court, but he is a three-point bucket getter, whereas Boucher, again, isn't the most consistent sort of three-point shooter. I mean, for the Toronto Raptors, just this season, only shooting 32% last year, shot 29 the season prior, shot 38 in 2020, 2021. He was a beast in that 2021 season, but he hasn't really taken his game to the next level. So what does it mean for Chris Boucher? Again, we broke it down in the video that came out this morning that he's not going to net that much out there on the open market for the Toronto Raptors. So what could the Raptors get from him? Why would it make sense to trade him? Why does this why are these rumors popping up? Well, basically, you're hoping someone looks at Chris Boucher as a vet that has been on some good teams in the NBA and wants a forward that can space the floor, that can play a bit of defense, that can do his thing. Aren't worried about the passing that Rajakovic is sort of looking at. And the Dallas Mavericks seem to be one of those teams. The Dallas Mavericks are searching to trade the trade market for a tall four with two-way ability that's a solid spot-up shooter. So that is exactly what Chris Boucher is. I wouldn't call him a great spot-up shooter, but he is definitely solid. He plays defense. He's hustling us, but he's the guy, with maybe exception of Thad Young, that's hustling the most out there for this Raptors group. Getting boards, doing the dirty work. I think RJ Barrett has locked in pretty well every game as well, but obviously plays a different position. Boucher would fit that mold really well. He would be, I think he'd be unlocked. The way Kleba's kind of unlocked around Luka Doncic. I think Boucher would have some of those benefits because he can catch lobs, he can space the floor. Boucher is a really good basketball player. I think he's underrated and shouldn't be just buried in the deep bench for this Toronto Raptors group. But that's kind of been the case over the course of this season. His bad decisions led him to fall out of favor with the Darko Rajakovic system. Now, what could we get from the Dallas Mavericks? I don't really know. Again, if you could package Boucher and Bruce Brown in these trades, then maybe it would make more sense for these deals to actually go down, but the rules are against it. You can't package Bruce Brown with any other sort of players unless you make two separate trades, and I don't know what the legality of that type of thing is, but it sucks to see. Boucher, I'm a fan of him. I know some people just wanted to kick him out the door and stuff, but it sucks to see him potentially go. I get the logic behind it, even though the Raptors need shooting, and Boucher and Trent do provide those types of things. But we'll see how it all shakes out for this Raptors group in the coming days. But let me know what you guys think about all of this in the comment section down below. You guys are best to make this far. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. I'm signing out. Cheers.